All right. What's good, everyone? Good morning, PAX West. It's good to see you all here. I am Jaxler, and this is Pumpkin Jack. This is one of my favorite games to speedrun ever. We're going to be doing New Game Plus Restricted. If you saw the run at GDQ 2022, it's basically the same category, but we changed the rules to make it, like, it's really cool. So we'll explain a little bit more about that. But Brian, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm bryonato. Last time I watched this game, you got a world record at GDQ 20?
Yeah, 22.
22. So I'm happy that we're running it back, and I know there's even telling me about all this new stuff.
All this new nonsense.
I'm super excited to see it. So
I think the old estimate was an hour 10, and then we hit 53. And estimate's 55, and we could potentially hit even crazier than that. So there's a bunch of new stuff. If you haven't seen this game since that run, beware.
This is like the wildest movement game that you've never seen before. It's pretty cool.
This is super sick. So just to briefly explain what the category means, New Game Plus means we start from a completed file, so we have all the weapons right at the start. Very important for the speed tech. Additionally, Restricted basically means mostly kind of inbounds. It's a very kind of, if this thing is cool, we'll allow it. If it's not, then we ban it.
Restricted is kind of like the modern no major glitches, I feel like.
Yeah.
It's like a stuff we like category.
Yeah, that's the best way to put it.
Arbitrary categories are number one. Those are
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah.
110%. All right, so there's 6 levels we got to get through as quickly as possible. So if we're good to get started, so I'm gonna be referring to the in-game time for some of it, but essentially Jack is gonna come crashing down onto Earth, and we're gonna start count from 4 from that moment we hear that sound effect. So you're gonna see this opening cutscene here with Jack, and then he's gonna like fall out of the sky like a meteorite, and it'll be 4 seconds from there, and we'll start rolling away here. All right, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. All right, so there's 2 major pieces of lateral movement tech that you're going to see right off at the start of the run. The first one is this rolling tech. It's just your dodge roll, and it's pretty fast on the ground when you're going uphill. And the other thing I'm going to try to do a lot here is something called orb boosting. We'll see if I can land one so I can... it's a little rough. So what I'm trying to do is cancel out of this orb attacks dive bomb animation mid-air, and then bunny hop to preserve the momentum. Like that, for example. And if you do it properly, you can also chain it with bunny hops in order to get a lot of speed. The other thing we'll see a lot is lamp boosting. So if you are on top of a lamp and you break it, it will fling you off in a specific direction. And if you know what direction it's going to send you, you can use it to gain a lot of speed very, very quickly. So, all right, 43 into there is pretty good. I think my fastest through there is like 37. So this is a very high skill ceiling game, because the better you can execute orb boosts and stuff like that, the more speed you get. So it's a very much like a risk versus reward sort of thing, where it's like, do I trust myself to orb boost here, or do I just roll and play it safe? And, you know, there's not really one right answer, at least in, you know, human speedruns here.
Does the in-game timer slow down when you go into like that bullet time state?
It slows down when I go into bullet time.
Oh, that is so cool.
It's really, really nice, because it allows you to like buffer stuff.
Just like Mirror's Edge.
Yeah, without it like costing you, exactly.
That's pretty cool.
And so coming up, I'm going to do a regular lamp boost, and then we're going to see the only one we're going to see in fields here of what's called a menu lamp boost. So if I go into the radial menu here to activate bullet time while a lamp boost is activating, you'll see what happens. This one requires a bit of a funky setup though. I get 2 tries at this before I kind of have to move on. Oh, we got it? Do we get the proxy? No proxy, okay. And we took the death. That's fine. Hey, that happened in GDQ. So I hit a checkpoint there, so we're good. But for whatever reason, if you go into that bullet time slowdown while the lamp boost is happening, you just go crazy fast. And as we'll talk about a bit later, it's also frame rate dependent. So generally, the higher your frame rate is, the faster you go on those. So you might be wondering, well, why don't you just play on uncapped? And it's because of a bunch of different reasons, but we actually don't want that much speed, because speed is only as good as what you can control, right? And so right here, this is a pretty new skip relative to the oh, did I get over the wall? I did, nice. Okay, so what that does is it allows me to hit a checkpoint from the other side of that wall. There's normally what's called a mini jack segment where you take off your head and solve some puzzles. But doing that set of what are called menu jumps allows you to skip that. And we'll explain how that glitch works once we get into the second level mines, which is littered with menu jumps all over the place. And so I'm gonna go for an orb boost here to skip most of this room. If not, we got a backup. That might clear or the dive bomb cancel?
Nice.
We'll take it. All right. Yeah.
That seemed like a very good orb boost.
Yeah, that was a really good one. And then we're going to pull out the shotgun. So one of the nice things about having the New Game Plus weapons, especially in these early levels, is it really speeds up the combat. We're going to see that when we get into the first boss as well. But there's just 4 enemies that always spawn in predetermined location, and then I like to call this the escape sequence. It's not bad. So what we're going to be doing is just a lot of orb boosting. So the general theme with the game's movement is if you're going on a flat surface or downhill, you want to orb boost, and if you're going uphill, you want to roll. Because this game has very high friction, and we're trying to basically bunny hop. Oh, that's too much speed. Okay. That can also happen. And so that was a pretty good recovery, though. So I'm going into bullet time mode in order to slow down like the rate of the game's physics, so that I can time bunny hops a bit more precisely than you can do at normal speed. And that allows us to conserve a lot of the speed, so we don't have to keep orb boosting over and over.
Is there like a frame window for bunny hops before like it completely saps all your speed, or is it like a tick-based thing?
It's a tick-based thing. And the other thing, too, is you're always guaranteed to at least lose some speed because the game's friction is so high.
Right. So like, what is roughly the window, if you know?
Well, honestly, as long as you just jump after you get the dive bomb, it technically does it, right? It's just the closer that you time it. Like, if you, like, for example, like within a frame of, like, touching off the ground, then you get the max amount of speed, right?
Okay.
So it's one of those kinds of things where it's like you can never truly be perfect at it because there's just so much potential in it. And it's one of those games, too, it's running at 60 FPS. So even when you're trying to time things with the menu, it can be really tricky. Got the mantle there, nice.
Nice.
So a lot of being good at the movement is not just being able to perform the orb boosting, but also being able to sort of read the speed that it gives you and come up with pathings on the fly. All right, so this is the first boss, pretty straightforward. We're gonna use the Chrome Familiar we picked up earlier on our right click in order to stun the boss, and then we get in 6 hits. Most bosses in this game, I think every boss in this game is damage gated, meaning that even if you mash as fast as possible, there's a set amount of hits that you can do each phase, which is kind of nice, which means you can't really like... Other than the big thing that you do to save time in this fight is the minions that spawn in between these different phases here. I was gonna notice these shockwaves just don't do damage to me. If you hold still, it's like the dinosaur, like the T-Rex in like that one Dora the Explorer episode. I might be like terminally like cartoon brain rot, but it's like if you don't move, it doesn't think you're real. So it's that kind of thing, right?
Also in Jurassic Park, you know.
Jurassic Park, yeah. But I was allowed to watch Dora, but not Jurassic Park when I was little, right?
Yeah, that makes sense.
And so that's going to be the end of the first level right there. That's like just a really movement-heavy level. But we're going to be going into a lot of tricks here. So we're going to do a couple of rolls right here, and I'm going to... I didn't get it off the slope. We can try again here. That one's pretty good. And then we're going to try to carry this all the way down to the other side of this section here. Lost a little speed there. Even in slowdown, it can be pretty tricky. And then right here, we're going to grab an autosave right here and then reload the checkpoint so that puts us on top of the barrier. It saves like 1 second in-game time. It's really funky.
I appreciate that you still go for the IGT strats even in an RTA setting.
Yeah, that's one of the nice things, too, about this game having built-in, like, accurate RTA, or in-game time.
Yep.
Is that because it doesn't count the loading screens or the deaths as much, it actually kind of makes your death-based mistakes way less punishing, especially for console players.
Right.
So right here, we're going to see another example of the menu jump glitch. So that right there was another mini Jax segment that we just skipped. I honestly don't have time to explain menu jumping here because I forgot that Minecart 1 skip exists now. So there's 3 minecart rail auto-scrollers in this level, and we now have the capability to skip all of them in the restricted route. And so it's going to start with a dive bomb in order to get us onto the train tracks. So our kind of logic with this is that if you're like on like the auto-scroller, but just like in the wrong means of transportation, then you're probably good. It's very much a rule of cool sort of thing. And so I'm going to keep rolling up here until I get to this gate, and then we're just going to kind of phase through here. We get a mantle, and then we fall down to a lower bit of the track. And then right here, we are going to set up for another menu lamp boost that will let us get back into the sort of standard playable area at the end of the auto-scroller, using Jack's feet here to kind of line this up. This looks decent. And then, boom, we jump. And I'm going to do something called an orb cancel right here, where I start up a dive bomb. Nice. Okay, we're done. We're done with that one.
Clap for that one.
So the dive bomb cancel, I can essentially do, whenever you start a dive bomb, your speed gets zeroed out. So you can actually use that to completely halt your momentum, which is really great in a game where you can get absurd amounts of momentum, like hopefully right here, for example. This one didn't work for me in practice. Oh, we got it. Nice.
And you got some extra speed after that, too. That was
all right. So now we're going to be setting up for Minecart 2 skit. We're gonna be using this tree here, which is very, very slippery. Yeah, so I just slid right off of it. I used to not really go for this strat, but it saves like 15 seconds, so I kind of have to now. So let me get on top of the tree first and shut up, and then we're gonna do some more menu jumping. And then I promise I will explain why menu jumping works. But this is like really hard. Nice, nice. Okay, so we get on top of the barrier. We're not out of the woods just yet. So we're gonna coyote time jump off of here, dive bomb land up here, or boost. Oh, and I got good speed too.
Nice.
Onto the rail. Nice. Almost there.
Okay,
so now what we got to do is ore boost off of the train tracks to get to the other side of the end of the minecart 2 segment here.
Okay.
That looks good. Money, let's go. Nice. So in the GDQ run, that had just been discovered, and now we have like that variation on it. The old setup for that used to be awful. You had to like ore boost off of a fence rail, and it sucked. But I'm glad we hit that pretty quick. That one could be kind of nightmarish.
You were grinding that one out in practice just before the run started too, so nice to see that pay off.
Yeah, that one and the one that'll be coming up in a sec called Minecart 3 Skip. Minecart 3 Skip has been in the game in every category for like generations, but we're gonna be going for a pretty new one here.
Generation.
Oh, we got the ladder boost. Nice.
Nice.
That ladder sucks, so I'm glad I hit that because then I would have had to take the plank walk of shame. All right, so this not only will let us skip Minecart 3, but also Bomb 2 as well. So we're gonna get up here. Menu jump on here, and we're on the house, and now I'm gonna go into focus mode. Looking for visual cues here. Oh, I got a height drop here. That's not great. I'm gonna do a sword attack mid-air here to reset my fall speed. Good, got the menu jump. Oh, I might be over. Oh, this might work. Oh, let's go! I almost choked that. Let's go. That is really dang hard. And then right here, we are on Minecart 3, and we can just jump over here straight to the end of the level and skip the boss.
Wow.
Wow, that's going to be an 8 flat for me. That's really, really good for me.
You are locked in, dude. Yeah. You can already see the discrepancy between RTA and the in-game time, especially with all the slowdown.
Yeah.
10 minutes to a 2-minute difference, basically.
Yeah. For context, 801 is crazy. So my best field split is like a low, like 4 flat, and I still I'm like 2 seconds behind like world record split out of there, which is pretty good. Run's gonna die probably, but we'll see. Oh, and I got the fast speed here over the tree. Nice. We're gonna do another menu lamp boost. This is Swamp. This is the hardest level in the game, and it starts off pretty rough pretty quickly here.
Is this the trick you've been telling me about?
No.
Okay,
this is. We saw a version of this at GDQ, but we didn't do the extended version because it was not legal at the time. Yeah, that's unfortunate. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab a autosave over here. I'm gonna give this a couple of tries because this does save a good bit of time. But if not, we'll take the walk of shame. But this one's really, really cool. So essentially what I'm doing is I'm looking for very specific positions with like regards to Jack's like heels and ankles, and using that as kind of a visual cue to make sure I'm in the right spot to, because some of these lamps are really finicky to get them to work properly. So
would you go as far as to call them like, pixel precise, quote unquote, or?
It's less pixel and more angles. And
right.
Oh, we got the boost. Okay, so we're gonna hold down, and then we're gonna press space to jump. That's gonna jump us over this. So when we did it at GDQ, we landed right about there on that patch of land. And I'm gonna wait until right before I'm about to touch down into the water. The water is an instant kill. And if I keep holding down, keep holding tab, it should land us right over here.
Wow,
nice.
Nicely done. Nicely done.
All right, now we're gonna go do a lamp boost that I affectionately call the Big Ugly because it's pretty ugly, but it's big time save. This probably won't work. Oh yeah, and I got a reverse. That's funny. So luckily there's an autosave I grabbed over there, and this is a really quick one to retry. And I found out recently that it's way easier to do it with the scythe. The weapon you use to do an orb boost will actually impact the launch speed that you get and some of the properties of it. So I'm actually using scythe to go a little bit slower than the orb rolling attack.
Wow.
Nice. And so that's gonna get us over here, and now we're gonna make our way over to Horse 1. And I guess now is kind of a good time to explain how the menu jumping glitch works. So in order for the game to consider you on solid ground to give you your double jump back, break the lamp, please. Okay, I guess we're not doing that lamp boost. So in order to be considered on solid ground, Jack needs to be like on a close enough to flat surface for a specific amount of real time to pass. The issue though is that this amount of real time doesn't scale with the slowdown during bullet time. We just skipped a big thing, by the way. So if you go into the bullet time via the radial weapon select, you can, and you're lodged into a corner, you're in that corner for long enough for the game to consider it floor, which allows you to double jump out of it. And that's how the menu jumping works. So in that instance, what I did is I menu jumped to get on top of that tree. And weirdly enough, there is a leftover trigger that is like way above the horse that allows us to steal the horse without doing the necessary part of the level first. So this level has, in total, 4 auto-scrollers casually, 3 horse rides, and then a boat section. We're going to see this one and the last horse section. We're going to hopefully skip the other 2. We are trying very hard to find a way to skip horse 1, but we haven't been able to find a lamp that faces in the right direction. The thing with lamp boosts, especially, and we'll see this in a good bit, is that the angle it sends you at, like, there's a direction to each lamp. And so, like, for example, if the post of the lamp is on your left and the lantern is on your right, that's forward. So if you do a lamp boost from that camera angle, it will send you forward. Right? And so, as a result of that, if we don't have a lamp that's rotated in the correct direction, then we might not be able to use it in order to do things like skips and such. All right, so we're big chilling here over a bit. Brian, how does this compare at all to the AGDQ run so far?
I mean, you're like
mind blown?
Yeah, I mean, you're nailing everything so far.
Yeah.
So that is pretty cool. I mean, it's I love that the majority of this game's like advanced movement revolves around just jiggling a lamppost.
Oh yeah.
I don't know, that's just really amusing to me, I guess,
just like, it's the animation of it too, which is funny. All right, this is one of my favorite setups. So we're gonna get straight to the carriageman over here. So we're gonna do a scythe lamp boost. I'm gonna not hold any direct, oh, I didn't even get it. Yeah, that happens sometimes. So essentially what I'm gonna do is I'm not gonna hold any inputs other than tab until I get past a tree that's on my left. And then I'm gonna press jump and then start holding left. We need to hold left for a very specific amount of time, and we're gonna hopefully ping pong off an invisible wall to get where we wanna go. All right, so we got the boost. So we go past this tree, I'm holding left, and then I press jump. And then as soon as I see the camera pop through the house here, press jump again, and we're gonna go bing, bong, off of the horse into the cutscene.
That's wild.
All right, so now I'm gonna swap frame rates. It's gonna say 120, but I actually have it capped to 110 for speed reasons. And this is the hardest trick in the game. The family-friendly version, I like to call it. We had the Big Ugly, so sometimes I'll call this the Big Nasty. But
the not family-friendly version.
That would be referred to as Swamp Ass. Because it's in swamp, and I think you can understand why.
And the trick is, I get it.
Yeah, you see the vision.
Yep.
Okay, so I'm looking for a very, very specific positioning here. That looks pretty good. So camera angle has to be right. My thumb is twitching because I'm nervous now on this trick. 3, 4. Got the boost. So you're gonna see we're gonna go flying here. This might be too little speed, but we'll try it. Yeah. Oh, that was too much speed. Okay. Huh.
Too much speed?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you need a very specific amount of speed so that you bounce off the first of those 2 rocks at a very specific angle.
Would you say this is like the biggest skip in the game?
No, this is probably second biggest, I would
hardest.
say. This is technically the hardest.
Okay.
There is one at the very end of the run that I would say is harder because it's inconsistent rather than difficult. And yeah, sometimes getting get the jitters out. Sometimes getting the lamp boost itself can be a bit tricky.
Right.
And worst comes to worst, we can just go through the level as normal. But this like saves like a boatload of time. And this is also the best pace I've ever been. Oh, and Jack fell off the lamp. Yeah. The other nice thing too, IGT-wise, is that these deaths don't really cost that much time because again, during this loading and during the actual death, the IGT is paused.
I mean, you could get an idea of just how much time it's saving by how much distance you're covering, right? So
yeah. Because even during bullet time, you can just kind of tell it's like, oh, you're going extremely
super
fast.
far. Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4. No, yeah, I kind of knew that one was bad. So basically what I'm doing is I'm kind of using like the inseam of Jack's pants and then like the top of the Raven's head as like sort of a parallel line that I line up with the elbow of that tree in the background. And then I roll it that direction. And usually if I fall off the lamp, that means I was kind of good, but the game just sucks. And then I use Jack's right ankle to kind of determine. And then that happens.
These lineups are crazy.
Yeah. There are some lamps that you can lamp boost off of any part of it. The difference being is that some lamps, when you roll in place, and other lamps, when you roll like normally. And the ones where you roll normally are the hardest ones to do lamp boosts off of. So, yeah, I have like a million tries at this just because of how ahead we are.
Cool.
In terms of pace. So I really want to try to hit this.
Yeah, I would love to see that.
Okay, so we got the boost. Might be slow, but we'll see. So I'm holding right. At the moment I see that we get the bonk, I'm going to jump and hold up left. Yeah, that was too little speed.
Okay.
Yeah, so if you're too little speed, you fall in the water and die instantly, which is tragic, but that would be.
Is the water a death because you're a jack-o'-lantern and it puts out your flame?
Something like that.
Okay.
It's also very medieval inspired, and you also die instantly in water in medieval.
Oh,
so
sure.
That's also a big part of it too, probably. I will try this one. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's good speed. That might be too much speed. It's a little inconsistent sometimes.
Wow.
Yeah, you see how I sailed past that first rock? That means I had too much speed.
Are you supposed to like bonk off that?
You're supposed to bonk off that first rock.
Through it. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if I go past it, that means I was going so fast that I went past it before I could bonk, if that makes sense.
Right.
1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, you also have to hit right pretty much immediately. So I don't know if you can see on the webcam, but I pretty much immediately swap my right hand over to the keyboard.
I was about to ask about that, actually.
That was too fast? That looked really good. Yeah, on this setup, I've been getting like more speed than less speed, unfortunately, which is like strange.
And so you're holding, the reason you're double-handing it on the keyboard is you're holding tab and then also holding...
Holding right.
Okay.
And then I immediately need to swap directions as soon as I get the visual cue.
Right.
1, 2, 3, 4. This probably won't work. I lied. That might be good speed. Honestly, I don't know. I've been getting all kinds of results from this today. That was the bonk, but the wrong angle.
Okay.
So that was a little...
Is your camera angle at all dependent?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
So, so
this is crazy.
That's also the problem too, right? Is you need to make sure your camera is pointed, because you move with regard, like, relative, your direction you move is relative to the camera, and when you're in bullet time, your camera is locked in.
What a wild skip.
1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, that was just a bad.
Were you involved with like the routing or the discovery process of this one?
I did not find it, but I figured out how to make it work on PC.
Gotcha.
Because Rip, the current world record holder, played on PS4, and we had kind of difficulty replicating it on PC, and we weren't sure why. But it was like, oh, it's a PS4, so it probably runs the game at a lower frame rate than 120. And then I swapped it to 110 with Rip's setup, and I got it immediately. And I'm like, oh, so that was the problem.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
And yeah, like I said, if this takes too many tries, then we can move on. But like, this is too cool. I really want to see if I can hit this. So. One, 2, 3, 4. Come on, game.
How many? I mean, I guess maybe your death count is answers this question, but how often? What percent of your practice goes into doing this trick right now?
I'd say right now, because it's new, it's like 50%.
Yeah.
But I think once I get better at it, it'll be more like 30.
Right.
Because I also have to practice north skip, which is even more inconsistent than this.
Wow.
So, yeah. But at least with that one, that has like a really easy backup if it takes forever. So.
And I think and this skip's like a big auto scroller, right?
2 auto scrollers.
2. Okay, so that makes sense why.
Yeah. This is because I really don't want to take the auto scrollers if we can avoid it.
Yeah.
I got moved, so it might not work. Yeah. All right, now my setup's just bungled, so I'm gonna try something different.
Okay.
There's a couple of different roll setups that you can use to get it.
So are you trying to get as close to the edge as possible without falling off?
It's less that and more specific micro positions on the lamp itself. I'm gonna try this real quick because this worked in practice, even though I generally try to avoid setups like these. Yeah, and then it works. Wait, that's probably way too low speed. That's the bonk, but we're probably way too low. I'll play it out.
Oh, I see you getting close to the water. Yep.
Yeah, so we're gonna be way too low to get the mantle. Like, yes, we were just short.
Was that our destination?
That was our destination.
Okay.
We were too short.
Okay.
And so everything was correct. I just had a tiny bit too little speed.
Okay, we've seen like the outline though.
Yeah, we've seen pretty much the outcome.
And now we know what to look for when you get it right. Gotcha. Okay, cool.
Yeah. And it looks like I'm losing a lot of time here. I am, especially RTA. But it's like one of those things where it's like IGT, like we're probably still doing fine. Like I wouldn't be too upset final time-wise. I'd like to get the trick done.
Was that a joke by the... Oh, sorry, I'll wait.
That was a lot of speed, but this might... Well, we'll see. That looks so good, too. I'm going to try a different... Since I'm getting a lot of high speeds, I'm going to try a slightly camera angle more to the right than I've been going for, because I've had that happen a couple of times. Because if you get high speed like that, but you still get the bonk, then like you're good. So I'm going to try something like... I'm going to overcorrect here. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that was just bad setup.
So when you said this skips a boatload of time, like was that a pun? Like was that a joke?
A little bit, yeah.
Okay, because it's like a boat auto-scroller?
Yeah, I hope the unfamily-friendly name is starting to make a little more sense as to why I started calling it that. Just because, yeah. Correct. Yeah, now I'm just not getting the setup. There's like a bunch of different things that need to go, right? A bunch of moving parts.
The main thing I've discerned from all of this is that it is dependent on so many different individual, like, microscopic factors. And so I can only imagine the difficulty of trying to figure these out.
Yeah.
In a marathon setting on the fly, right? Yep.
That might be good. This'll work. Okay, so we get the bonk. We have good height. I wait until Jack's shoulders start dropping until I do my second input. We're trying to maintain our altitude as much as possible. Hopefully we get the ledge grab. Boom, we're in, baby. Let's go.
Woo! Nicely done, dude. Way to persevere through that, too.
Of course, I get a good orb boost right after. We're just blessed here.
No, I'm just really impressed that you stuck.
That still probably saves time, by the way.
Yeah.
Overall.
I'm just really impressed that you stuck with that, especially because, I mean, I could kind of tell you were in the blender for a bit where you're like, oh, no, the setup's not even right and everything. And
just wait till we get to north. It's going to get worse before it gets better.
I mean, I'm just saying the fact that you were able to have the presence of mind to, like, just keep doing that and eventually get it is, I'm impressed. So good stuff.
Thank you, yeah. And that, we're good orb boost as well. This is the Lost Woods section, so, you know, it's actually funny too, that specific lamp boost, the reason why that's so tricky now is because the original discovery for that trick was found for unrestricted because you actually land pretty significantly out of bounds, which is generally not allowed for this category. But it was like RIP/VT from, I want to say Norway, but I want to be careful with that because I know Scandinavia can be like that sometimes. But
yeah, they don't want you to mess that up.
Like a bunch of runners like kind of messed with it and made it happen in ILs, but like it's really cool that we're starting to see it in RTA now as well. But yeah, we're pretty much at the end of the level now, so yeah, we skipped not only the second horse ride, also the movement to get to the third auto-scroller, as well as, the nice thing too is if that takes too long, there's an alternate boost you can do that takes you right to the swamp boat. That's way easier, which is also really nice. And so our head, yeah, no, this game makes great noises. So our head got stolen. So the whole like catch behind this level is that horse carrot coachman. We get him like mushroom ingredients for like vegan soup, and our head is the final ingredient.
Wow.
So I like to joke that he takes our head because we stole his horse without asking for it or like doing the actual trade. But in reality, this happens either way. We get a banger cover of the William Tell Overture as we make our way up to the boss. This boss in particular is probably one of the higher skill ceiling fights in the game. The way that it works is that it's a giant tree chunk in 3 tiers that has these like eyeballs on them. And the boss will drop a bunch of green potions that you need to attack to fling into those eyes in order to move everything down a peg in order to advance the fight. And so what we're going to be doing is looking for setups to be able to hit multiple eyeballs with one shampoo bottle, as it's referred to in game. You know, make like a shampoo bottle and go right for the eyes, which is great writing. But also, there's also a chance that you get red shampoo bottles, which just burn you instead of the eyeballs. So you can get a little bit unlucky, but there's some things I'm going to be doing movement-wise to try to manipulate things. So it's going to be kind of one of... the first phase is probably the one that's... Well, I'd say probably second phase is the one that's most important. Because in phase 3, the last trunk rotates. You can kind of just chill in the same place. Yeah, this and the other horse ride were the only 2 auto-scrollers in this level. And the kind of crazy thing is that there's generally like a lot of auto-scroller sections in this game if you've played it casually, and we're gonna skip a lot of them, which is, I think, really freaking sick. So I didn't get a good position for that first one, so I'm going to make the call and go for that double hit right there, and then go this way. So I'm going to stand a little bit over to that left side, and depending on where you stand, you can kind of manipulate the way that some of these shampoo bottles drop. If you see a red one drop, that's unlucky, but if it's like when you don't need one, then you would consider that lucky because you didn't waste your time, right?
Right. I love how campy the music in this game is. Really fun.
1, 2, and then we're using the sword here as well because it has a very wide hitbox. Now the stagecoachman's gonna come down and rain on the parade. Good double hit. Yeah, and you can also roll through the roots right here and not take any damage. 2 reds is unlucky. In my PB, which was supposed to be a practice no reset run, I got like turbo unlucky and got like 7 reds in a row. It was the worst.
Damn.
That green, I did get a green there, but I want one in a slightly more favorable position so I can go for the double. And even though I beefed it, but it's the principle of the thing, right? So we're using the shotgun here because it just has really high DPS, and we can also
it looks really cool too.
It's such a fun weapon. Normally you unlock it by defeating this boss, but thank you, New Game Plus. So double hit there, double hit there, and then after we do the last bit of this tree bit, wow, we got really good patterns on that last bit right there. Oh, the coachman ran away. We're just gonna take care of the wife real quick. Oh, and he ran back. What a nice guy.
What a nice guy.
And I love how they ragdoll too. It's just very funny.
That is very fun.
All right, and so our reward is that shotgun, and that's going to put us at the end of Swamp. All right, we're out of Swamp. Thank the Lord Almighty, because that, by far the hardest level in the run now. It used to be North, but we skipped most of North now. So, all right, so this is one of, I would probably argue, most people's favorite levels to run through as speedrunners and casually. It's just a really well-designed level. This is Skeletown. This is going to have a really good combination of, like, there's going to be a new glitch we haven't seen yet, good orb boosting fundamentals, and then there's going to be 3 lamp boosts that I had the opportunity to go for that are all really sick. One of them is mostly guaranteed. The other 2 are kind of iffy because they're weird lamps. Oh, well, this one is free. So the way that this early section works is you're supposed to find a bunch of planks of wood to make a drawbridge to get on over the castle moat. But I have an orb, and that will allow me to make a bridge over thin air, and that lets us just jump up there. Shout outs to me hitting that. I actually died on that trick at GDQ.
Hitting that?
Yeah, well, because I like died like pathetically on that trick at GDQ, so I'm glad I redeemed myself here. But yeah, so we're gonna be doing something really, really sick here called Zombie Jack. I'm gonna focus just for a second to make sure that I line this up properly. So it's 2, dive bomb, cancel, boom, nice. So what I did is I dive bombed into this cutscene, and Jack is ever so slowly falling because we started the cutscene mid-air. This is gonna place him underwater by the end of the cutscene, which activates a weird property where, because we were in the water long enough, the game stops doing the check to like kill us in the water. So now we have basically until I reload or die, dang it. We have basically permanent immunity to the water, so we're just gonna go
wow.
down.
Okay, that's pretty sick.
Yeah, so that first mini lamp boost right there is the most inconsistent one in Skeletown. I think we did hit it at GDQ previously, so at least there's footage of it, but it's really inconsistent, so that's when you just kind of are like, all right. And so this wall isn't really solid, so you can kind of just roll through it, which is great. This was one of the most contentious things, and one of the reasons I really push for it to be called New Game Plus Restricted and not No Out of Bounds is this like looks like kind of out of bounds, but it's also like, I don't know, it feels way less weird than some of the other bonkers stuff. Like the restricted run is like in the 30-minute range. To IGT to give you.
You mean the unrestricted?
Unrestricted run, yeah. I think the current restricted record by Rip is like a 44.5x IGT, which is very, very good. He pretty much hit all the major stuff at the time first try without being someone who orb boosted, which is, if you know this game, is crazy. All right, so I managed to get a decent orb boost. So orb boosting through here is really hard because you really don't know that you're going to land until you kind of land because of the way the water works. But we're kind of out of that bit now, and we can kind of start to rely on. So I'm going to go for a standard lamp boost here. It probably even won't work just because it's really funky. Yeah, and I got like a mini reverse there too. So that's like, oh, nice. See how long I can chain this for. You really can't mash the bunny hops either, because if you mash it, you will just kind of beef it. This game really kind of demands that precision. So I can reload this one if need be, but I'll probably just move on if I don't get this one. This one's really fast though. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Bing. Oh, you know what? I just realized since I landed over here, I can go for this reverse if I really want to. Let's see if I can hit it. I'll explain what a reverse is if I hit it. If not, we'll just pretend like I was cool and didn't bother. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, we hit it. Let's go. So you know how I mentioned that lamps have a specific direction? With a very specific positioning setup, you can have a lamp boost you in the opposite direction. And so I did that right there to do lamp boosting speeds right there. Now right here, we're going to try to skip these minecart sections by doing some menu jumping over the invisible wall, just like that. We'll take a second try. The one after, this is one of the first things I recommend people learn, like regardless of category. Basically every category can do that. These sets of menu jumps. So that's kind of the nice thing is like New Game Plus is really cool, but like starting with any percent is kind of one of those things where you can really kind of get a feel for how the game controls. And like I said, like the world record for this category doesn't even orb boost at all.
Yeah, that's wild.
Which is wild.
That doesn't make sense to me.
Well, the thing of it is, and this is the tough thing and why it's such a high skill ceiling thing, is that every orb boost has an opportunity cost because when you dive bomb, you are zeroed out on your velocity, right? So if you missed it, you've basically given up on time that you could have spent like rolling, right? So that's like Rip's thing is he just rolls and he gets rewarded for it because it's like, well, yeah, he's, rolling's still pretty fast. So it's kind of this interesting like dynamic to the run that like, and sometimes it depends on how you're playing that day as well, right? If you don't like trust yourself in your orb boosting, then maybe it doesn't make sense for you to orb boost through a particularly tough section, right?
Right.
The place where orb boosting really saves the most time, I would say, is in sections where there are pits or lots of like elevation changes. One of the quirks with the roll as well is you can't roll off of ledges. And so you have to place rolls in very specific spots in order for them to work properly. And so that's one of the things you have to keep in mind as well. And that, it could be, some people I feel like could see it as just like, mash E, roll to win, right? But it's like a lot more complicated than that, actually. We used to have a glitch here called enemy deload, where we could deload all of those enemies to make this auto-scroller free. But we don't have that luxury anymore because we skipped the other handcart section.
Why does skipping the other handcart section?
I think it's because you do it all on like one load of the level, so it expects you to like reload at some point.
Gotcha.
Oh, there's a mini jack segment. That's probably why it works like that. That probably forces like a loading zone sort of thing. All right, so this is the boss right here. This boss has a bit of a manip to it, so it has this spinning attack that's really, really slow. And so my goal is to manipulate the boss so that he does it as little as possible. So he's going to do 3 hammer attacks. And I'm trying to make sure he spends as little time as possible rotating. So what we're going to do is we're going to bait out 3 hammer attacks and start moving towards the siege tower over there. The way that the boss fight progresses is that he damages the tower full of explosive, which then damages him. So we did 1, 2, 3. We're going to have him do a hammer attack into here now. He's going to kill all the enemies for us, and then he's going to break it with the spin. Just like that.
Nice.
And so if you have him break it with the spin like that, it means that he won't do the spin at the start of the next phase, which is so useful. Also, because we haven't reloaded yet, you can drink the health cauldron through the wall. Nice. And it makes this fight way easier. And there's for this phase, there's also just a god spot right here. So if you just stand right here and don't do nothing, you're good. And then I'm going to be looping that minute in the second phase, but in the third phase, because he just dies, we go for the 3 hammer hits on the siege tower in that case. There is a very risky strat that you can do where you push the boss around by rolling into him, like underneath him. But I've heard reports of people pushing him out of the arena and soft-locking themselves before. And oftentimes you just push him further away rather than into a helpful position. So we're going to go 1 hammer, 2. And again, if I hold still during the shockwaves, they won't deal any damage to me.
That's funny that that's a mechanic that just works across multiple fights. It's not isolated to that one boss fight.
There's a reason why. One of the devs explained it at some point, but I'm going to be real. I forgot like ages ago. I remember having this bit at GDQ as well where it's like, I don't have enough in my room in my head for anything other than orb boosting. I'm going to be so real. But that's just speedrunner brain. All right. So I'm actually going to go ahead and not take the heal there because if you take the heal, sometimes it can slow down the fight. So it's technically optimal not to take the heal. But I really don't want to die on the boss. That would be very embarrassing. But yeah, now after this, pretty much, this is pretty bread and butter at this point for me. As long as I bait out this hammer attack, we can just lure him over here again because we don't have to worry about the last spin because the boss just ends. Like our goal with this fight is avoid that spin attack at all costs. And so we're just gonna do that. And after this, we're gonna be heading into a level that in some ways hasn't changed all that much since last GDQ, but there's a ton of little things along the way that have been added in. And like our ability to just move through the level has gotten a lot better because as a community we've just gotten better at the game. So I gotta shout out Corundum Core, aka Ruby. That's her favorite level, and she was on couch with us for the AGDQ run and carried us on the couch. So I wanna shout out Ruby before I forget.
Oh, Ruby,
she's awesome.
How did you find this game, by the way? Because I would have never heard of this unless you were speedrunning it, basically, like so many other things you run. Yeah,
so I had actually learned Medieval on PS1 as a speed game. And a good friend of mine by the name of Britt was seeing me stream runs of that game and was like, hey, you would really like Pumpkin Jack. It's like a friend of mine from like the SpongeBob community from like 2015. So like we go back like ages. So
the 2015 SpongeBob community.
Oh yeah. Yeah. All right, so right here, we're gonna do the new and improved version of Grimoire Skip, where we go on top of the tree. This is our one primary use for the spear in the run. If you're rolling spear attack, you just drop through an invisible wall on top of the gate and skip the Grimoire puzzle. The way we used to skip that is there was like a dev trigger thing where if you grabbed one of the Grimoires and just attacked the gate, it just opened. It was really funny. All right, we're gonna see another menu lamp boost here, hopefully. Oh, it didn't work. Okay, we're gonna take another shot at this one because I hate the platforming here. But yeah, there's gonna be a lot of there's a couple lamp boosts in here that I really like. The nice thing about some of them like lose more time to like go for again than others just because of closeness to autosaves. If this takes too many tries. Usually this one is pretty not like I don't want to call things free because that's toxic, but like usually.
Thank you. I agree.
There it is. See, not too bad.
Nice.
Wait, there's a ledge here? That's crazy. Okay, I'm gonna need someone to clip that for me later so that I can post that in the Discord.
Jack, clip that. Would you say that's never happened before?
It never happened to me before.
Okay, there you go.
I'm sure like Extro or VT have done something like that before. You know what has happened to me before? I got like a vertical proxy. Basically that means I lamp boosted into a corner at such a high speed that it launched me into the air. And I got on top of the invisible wall rails that surround this auto scroller right here. And I was like able to like go into the auto scroller without triggering it. So I was like, oh, maybe in the future if we can find, you know, that's kind of something me and Rip were talking about the other day when he was streaming is like, the future might be finding lamp boost setups that allow us to get like really big vertical launches to be able to skip over stuff, which would be really, really dope. In unrestricted, you just go out of bounds at the start of the level and you skip all of this. But you know, so that's unrestricted.
A question I had, especially because I just de-rusted a game I've been running for a long time, was like, I know obviously you ran this a lot for a period of time, and then, you know, you run a million games and went into other stuff. I'm wondering, like, you know, what mechanics in this game for you are kind of like, when you pick it up again, it's like riding a bike, and which ones are like the hardest to de-rust and the hardest to relearn and hone in on again?
I think like the menu jumping and the easy lamp boosts are just kind of like quick.
Right.
Because those are very feel-based, and I have like any feel-based trick is like really good for me. Orb boosting is probably the most punishing thing to de-rust.
Sure.
Because that's also a groove-based thing, but you have to be in your pocket, if that makes sense. Like a good bass player sort of thing. Oh, I had a great orb boost, and then I just kind of didn't realize my angle was bad. Or I'll take another good one. Sure, that works too, game. Thanks. So here's the Gravekeeper that we ignored earlier. We're going to do something called Graveyard Skip here, where we're going to go over that gate and avoid breaking a bunch of graves and doing a mini Jack segment. But this one's pretty tough, so I'm going to go kind of quiet mode here for a second. So get on top of the statue, to the tree, get height. That's the tricky part. In there, let's go.
Nice. I'm glad getting damage there doesn't like mess up that setup or at all.
It's scary. You can't dawdle too long because if you take forever to set it up, like if you take like a reasonable amount of time, you'll be fine. But like if you take a long time to set it up, you will die.
Is the tree, that's cool. Is the tree platforming as difficult as it looks? It looks
Yes.
like quite awkward to navigate.
Yes.
Okay.
I would describe them as very slippery.
Right. Right.
And they don't
I know exactly what you mean by that too.
Yeah. They don't have super consistent geometry that you would really expect. Like sometimes tree branches are solid, sometimes aren't. Okay, this one goes out to specifically Rip. I told him I would go for this reverse.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, let's go! That is so inconsistent. Or it's not inconsistent, it's just very precise.
Your reaction to that really sells how difficult that is.
Oh, and we got both back-to-back first try. That's crazy.
Wow, that's awesome.
Getting both is really, really hard. All right, so now this part of the end part of the level is really cool casually. There's like 7 icons of the 7 deadly sins that you have to destroy in order to summon the portal to the last level. But the way it works is it expects you to get the first 6 and then return to the central hub for Gluttony, which is number 7, who also happens to be our boss. But the way that they programmed it is that the gate opens after 6, but the loading zone is always there. So what we're gonna do is use this lamp up here in order to lamp boost. Oh, I got a reverse. Oh, that's unlucky. So in order to make sure I don't invalidate the run, I actually have to take a manual death warp here because due to a bug with the IGT, if you use reload checkpoint, it will actually set you back to the time of the autosave, which kind of would turn it into a segmented
run.
And that's not really kind of in the spirit of what we want for the game, so.
That really is just like kooky speedrunning things.
Yeah. I'm not gonna complain though, because it's the devs made us an in-game timer.
No, it makes sense.
Accurate. So it's that's a lot of speed. So we control it with a dive bomb. We'll take second try. Okay.
Okay. Nice.
So that just activates the fight instantly without the cutscene. And
That's
so
pretty cool.
we're gonna do something here called Gluttony Phase Skip. So if you watched the GDQ run, you might remember the infamous clip of me blowing out your headphones because I hit this trick for the 3rd time ever recorded. But now, and this is what I mean by just the community has advanced so much since then. We understand how it works and can do it with 100% consistency. So I have the boss open up this phase at a very specific angle. Because once I get ejected out of here, I will be set up with a very specific camera angle. So after this, I hold right, jump, and then we just go right back in.
That's cool.
Skipping the entire second phase.
I remember you hitting that. I mean, that was like one of the iconic moments, right? So
the reason we didn't understand why we couldn't get it consistently is because we needed the camera setup. That was the piece of the puzzle we didn't understand. Because again, you move in relationship to the direction of the camera, and you don't realize that your it maintains your camera position. And like the fact that it maintains a bunch of stuff in and out of the inside of the guts of the boss is why that trick works. Because the boss has a window for how long you have before you miss the jump to get inside his innards. And that timer doesn't reset after the first phase because the game doesn't expect you to be able to jump back into it with the coyote time. And so because of that, we can exploit that there's still a little bit of it left in order to do that. That's also why you didn't see me go for it the second time, is because that window of opportunity decreases into the 3rd phase as well, so you run out of time to be able to do it, so you can only do it once. You can either do it first phase to second phase or second phase to 3rd phase, but not both. All right, so we're making pretty good time here. So we're gonna... So yeah, just breaking the sin of gluttony right there counts as having broken all 7, so we can go talk to this clockwork golem. Ooh, that was a little too much speed. Sometimes when you get too much speed, it's just wise to just choose life, as I like to jokingly call it. And now we're heading into the north. We're heading into the final level, and this is probably the level that has changed the most dramatically, other than I'd say mines and swamp, because we used to have a lot more of this level, but a decent little bit after the GDQ run, I'd say within 6 to 9 months or so, we managed to find a way to basically bypass most of the level. So the start of the level is going to look pretty familiar. We're going to be doing a reverse lamp boost. Again, doing a lamp boost in kind of the opposite of the direction you normally do it, with that lamp up there. We managed to hit it at GDQ last time, but that setup was way worse. But now we kind of have a better understanding of the universal reverse setup.
Universal reverse.
Yeah. 1, 2, 3. Tap. Tap. Yeah, that was bad. Okay. So this is kind of a non-negotiable, so
you have to hit this kind of deal? Okay, okay.
And then after this is probably the most inconsistent trick in the game, which we just... I don't know if it's north skip or north skip or north skip or north skip, something along those lines. We've had so many north skips over the years. 1, 2, 3. That should. Oh, that was low speed, unfortunately. So
You should call it like South by Southwest or
South by
something.
Southwest.
That just makes sense to me.
Yeah, I don't know if I want to promote that org though.
Oh, I wasn't even thinking the org. I was just thinking like a direction.
Not without getting the sponsorship, but you know. Just trying to get my bag here, okay? That's a little too much. 1, 2, 3. That's the speed we want. And so that gets us to this checkpoint platform right here. We're going to take a step, get the autosave, and now I'm just going to throw my head at the wall at this trick until it works. 1, 2, 3, 4. You're lying. You're lying. That's okay. It's not over yet. I have to hit this. Come on, please. Yes, let's go. Okay. So here's what we're gonna do. We are going to swap back to 110 FPS, and then we are going to reload from checkpoint. This is required because this lamp boost does not work. Welcome to my favorite lamp boost in the game. This is the shotgun lamp boost.
Oh, this one. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're gonna go roll 1, 2, 3. Bye-bye. Into the final boss portal.
That is so cool. One of my favorite looking tricks in the game.
Okay. So I didn't want to say anything until after I got North Skip. So Brian, do you want to explain the story of what happened at GDQ 22 to the people in the crowd who weren't there for it?
Oh, I mean, you got a world record by like over 2 minutes or something like that, right? You hit a bunch of tricks that like were kind of new, that maybe hadn't been like ironed out consistency-wise, and had like a massive PB. And it was like, I mean, you were Pumpkin Jaxler. It was like the ultimate moment.
Yeah. So we might be going 2 for 2 today, Gil.
No shot.
Brian, I have a question for you. Would you like to go ahead on your phone and check SRC and tell the people what the current world record is for New Game Plus restricted?
I can definitely do
It's
that.
pumpkin_jack, if that helps.
Oh, thank you so much. I think I have a speedrun.com page open on a tab already, so.
Now, to be clear, I gotta make sure I don't like flub the boss fight, but
that would be the ultimate self-own.
It would be very. I could flood the boss fight and we would still be good.
Oh, okay. Well, never mind.
Yeah,
bear with me. You know, my service in here
tabs, yeah.
Yep.
I might know it off the top of my head. If not, but
NG plus restricted.
Yes.
3454.
Wait.
Am I looking at that right?
Are you looking at? That's unrestricted, right?
No, that NG plus unrestricted is 23. Am I on the right page here?
Pumpkin Jack?
Pumpkin Jack 2020.
Really? It's
RIP WSB 1 year ago PS4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it 30?
It's 34.50.
Oh, I thought it was 44. Okay. Weird. Okay, we're not getting records. Sorry, my bad. I lied to y'all. I got y'all's hopes up, but yeah, because I have a 36. Okay,
I see your 3705 on here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a 3655. So this is going to be like really close to PB though. So,
okay.
Never mind. I'm sorry. I spread misinformation on the internet again.
Nobody has ever done that before. I can't believe that.
Yeah. My bad, y'all. I'm sorry. I totally spaced out. I almost like got super high. This is still a very, very
No,
good
I mean,
time,
this
though.
was a sick run regardless. It is a little funny though.
Yeah, I was like so ready to like get hype and all that, and yeah, I just took the wind out of my own sails. But yeah, no. So this boss is pretty straightforward, but you kind of have to like be careful of the attacks, or like they'll just rip you to shreds. Kernum Core can tell you just how hard this boss is casually, but the walls of electricity also behave like sort of the shockwave effects, where it's like if you don't move, they don't damage you. So it trivializes the fight, which thank God, because this attack is so hard to deal with.
That's so funny that this is just a piece of tech that works on basically every fight.
It works on the second boss too, but we skipped the second boss because we're cool. All right, so this is phase 2. We're going to be heading into phase 3 shortly. Time will be on final hit, so we got a little bit. But yeah, no, even still though, I think I got like a high 40 something.
Yeah, it was definitely
GDQ.
like in the mid 40s.
It was like a high 40 something at GDQ.
Yeah.
And we're going to be like sub 40 IGT on this, which is really, really, really good.
Pretty cool.
It's unfortunate that Swamp Lampus didn't go that well. But like other than that, this run was like really, really dang sick. So I'm really happy.
Yeah, I think it's a run you should be proud of.
Yeah. Got to see a little bit of everything. while we're here as well, I just want to thank everyone who's here in person to witness this. This game is so dang important to me. It like, it's like kind of, you know, like just this whole game and like kind of that past GDQ run. I feel like I'm just like reminiscing, but it's like that whole thing just means a lot to me. This game and this community means a lot to me. So it just means a lot to me so much that people care enough to like, you know, show up. And that's time. 39-23. I think we did pretty good.
I think you did pretty good, especially considering how much of an improvement that is over the last marathon attempt.
That also just goes to show how much Swamp Ass says, you know? Like so we've done it. We have defeated the forces of good, and we have aided the devil in taking over the world because this game rules. I guess while we're here and making my way to the credits, I just want to shout out some people real quick. In the community, again, shout outs to Britt for introducing me to game and routing it a good bit. Shoutouts to Wintermute, VT, Extro, Rip, obviously, again. Anyone who's ever played this game in any capacity, whether you're just a casual fan of the game or one of our speedrunning people. Shoutouts to the devs as well. They're like super friendly with the speedrun community. Our speedrun like Discord channel is in the official Pumpkin Jack server, so if you want to find that, there is a link to it on SRC, or just go to the Pumpkin Jack Twitter. It'll probably be linked there as well. Shoutouts to like Nick and the full team for making this game off of a really small crew.
This is an adorable credit sequence.
Yeah, just showing like the game as it's been made.
Yep.
I also want to give them a little plug as well. Their studio just released their second game called Akimbot, which is a love letter to like Ratchet and Clank, especially like Ratchet and Clank Deadlock. So if you're into that era of games, check out Akimbot. It just came out on Steam. Give it a wish list. It's really, really cool. It released like yesterday, so I haven't been able to play it yet, which is tragic. But yeah, I wanted to shout them out for being just awesome people. And I want to shout out GDQ for letting me do Pumpkin Jack again, because this rules. Brian, thanks for capturing.
Dude, I'm so glad to be here. Thank you so much for having me around.
This is so much fun. Stick around. Pseudo Regalia is up next. I'm going to be yapping for another 25 minutes because that game is also similarly ridiculous. You do not want to miss it. Killing Pepsi is a god at that game. So yeah, thanks GDQ. Thanks everyone at home and in crowd. Y'all are the best. Thank you all so much.
All right,
Have a good one, y'all.
Thank you very much, Jaxler.